Hi, it's Stephen. Net Promoter Score fail number 28 out of 30. Who paid? Now this one at the end I'm going to give you a Google search you can do that's going to return 0 results, and it's fascinating to me. Who paid is about who actually bought the thing that you've consumed and who should be completing the questionnaire. So for example, as a parent, you're flying your children to visit their grandparents. Children as in teenagers or perhaps even 20 or 30-year-olds to visit their grandparents. Now, the person who experienced the flight might get asked a Net Promoter Score question, but they might not be the person who bought it. So who should be asked? The person who bought the flight but wouldn't normally buy the flight, or the person who paid for the flight but wasn't there to experience it? Think of corporate air travel. Should the corporate travel office be completing the Net Promoter Score because they bought it, or should the employee who begrudgingly goes on the airline they were told to fly on and having to make an overnight stop and fly in economy rather than business, should they be the one who is completing the Net Promoter Score question? Or finally, if your loved one is cooking a meal and they ask you to go to the local store that you normally don't ever visit to buy something exotic, and you get asked a Net Promoter Score randomly, should you be and are you in a position to complete that questionnaire, though you are not normally a customer there? It's an interesting question. Back to Google. 79,600,000 results are returned if you type in Net Promoter Score. If you type in NPS, if you type in NPS Economic Buyer, you get a whole lot of results, but you get 0 results that really focus in on this issue. There aren't any real scholarly articles, there aren't any specific articles written about them. Now I'm sure they're there, but they're not front and center, which says to me that it's not a topic that's actually discussed. You can type in NPS and anything else, and you get some sort of a result. But NPS Economic Buyer, nothing going on. So how do you solve this? I think the way you solve this is you ask a preceding question. Were you the one who made the decision to purchase this product or experience this service or whatever? Yes or no? And if you were, then you ask the Net Promoter Score question. Well, you ask it regardless, and then you decide, if they were not the economic buyer, what am I going to do with this information? Am I going to look at it separately, carve it off, or am I going to ignore it and exclude it altogether? That's your decision to make, but at least then you have a decision to make. Unfortunately, by doing this, the simplicity of one question has just been removed because you've got a question sitting on top of it and you're getting a little bit of friction with the customer. So what was otherwise really, really simple, ask one question, becomes more complicated with a question over the top of it. But it probably needs to be asked in a lot of situations.